Welcome everybody to the Unapologetic Truth, the channel where we speak the truth and don't apologize for it. Why? Because the truth never apologizes. Alright, first off, before we get started, I want to say thank you to all my supporters, and all the new people who, just joined the channel. I appreciate you, appreciate the support. Appreciate y'all being patient with me. I've been, gone for a while. I had a lot of things to take care of, just had a baby, so I had to take some time off to, take care of my baby, baby girl. Also, me and my wife, we just started a business together, so we're in the process of trying to open up a storefront. We already got the website open, so now we're trying to get the storefront going, So yeah, I had a lot of things going on in my life right now, everything good, so now I'm back at, making videos for y'all, bringing more, information to y'all about what's going on in the world, about what the Illuminati is doing, in front of your, behind your back, in front of your face, if that makes sense. But anyway, today we're going to get to the global elites are panicking. They panicking because they know that the dollar is soon to collapse. Within the next 5 to 10 years, the dollar will eventually give up. Right? So I'm going to show you how they're panicking, and I'm going to show you what they've been hiding. Then I'm going to show you what you need to do to avoid being in a struggle when it happens. Because it happened before, and believe me, it's going to happen again. Remember, history always repeats itself. Alright? So, we're going to get to the first clip. Right?
New Orleans Investment Conference, one of the most preeminent gatherings of private investors around the world, now in its 47th consecutive year. I'm Michelle McCory, and joining me now is Larry Lepard, the founder of EMA, a private investment management fund. Larry?
Now, I want you to pay attention and listen to this man, because he's going to give y'all information that a lot of people not paying attention to because they're too busy with other things. So they're not realizing what's going on. Alright, so listen to him.
Good to have you with us.
Very nice to be here with you, Michelle. Thank you for having me on.
Well, Larry, it's good to have you here. But the main topic that you're addressing, not so good.
No,
That's right. Not so positive, because you...
No, sadly it's not, yeah.
You maintain that the monetary and the political system is broken, hopelessly so.
Sadly.
And it's only a matter of time before we see the entire collapse of the system and the collapse of fiat. So
I think
break that down for us.
And the collapse of fiat. We all know fiat means, the dollar, right? So she's letting you know that soon the collapse is coming. The fiat collapse is coming. The whole system is coming. It's going to crumble down. Right? Alright, so let's get to this.
Break down how we get to that breakdown.
Yeah, sure. I think that's generally right, and it is rather sad, but we didn't do it. We didn't, we're not the central banks. We didn't set up the system. And it may not be a terrible collapse. It might be a reset, which we discussed earlier. But I think what's happened is we've reached kind of peak debt and peak money printing as a solution to our problems. In the early days, growing debt and printing money allowed for additional growth, and there was some inflation, but you could get by. And we've now reached that point in time at which the supply, the growth of the money supply has almost gone vertical. And there's a chart that will be posted with this interview about the M2 chart, and it just shows how, as an example, in the GFC we printed $3 trillion plus, and it took 3 or 4 years to do it. I mean, now we printed $3 trillion plus, and we did it in 3 months. And that's an accelerating rate.
Now pay attention to what he's saying, how much accelerated printing of the fiat dollar they have been doing over the course of the year. You see the charts, how it is in 2020 from back 20 years ago. you can see how high it is, right? This plays a part in what is going on today, right?
Of growth, and so I would suggest that because that second derivative is going up so quickly, the next one's going to cost $10 trillion and then larger and larger and larger, and this is how inflations, which could become hyperinflation, get started. And so it's terribly unfortunate. It's going to be very painful, I think, for a lot of people. That's the bad news. There is actually a silver lining here and good news, and that is the system that's broken needs to be reset. And so I think that this will.
And I'm gonna show you how they're gonna reset it, right? Okay. Now he said before this that hold on, let me rewind that right quick. Let me rewind just a little bit. Sorry guys.
Fortunate, it's going to be very painful, I think, for a lot of people. That's the bad news. There is $10 trillion and then larger and larger and larger, and this is how inflations, which could become hyperinflation, get started.
Alright,
so it's terrible.
You heard that, right? So the more money is being printed, the more inflation goes up, and it can hit hyperinflation, which it will hit a hyperinflation. It's going to hit hyperinflation. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it, so they're going to let no one tell you that it's not what it is. Alright? Now, printing money, which brings me to these payments, stimulus payments, and these different type of things, tax credits and stuff like that they giving out. They printing these trillions of dollars to give you this money. They give you this money, but not telling you what's happening in the process of them giving you this money. See, what people don't understand is, in order to destroy a country, you have to destroy its economy. Its economy is what keep that country afloat. So if you destroy the economy, you weaken that nation, right? So on this channel we talk about the Masons and the Illuminati and their plans and their agenda. This is one of their agendas, to weaken America. They want you to depend solely on them. See, this giving you this money, they're having you depend on them. You need their help, right? So when the economy collapses, guess who you're going to be begging for help? But I'm going to show you how not to do that. In the end, I'm going to show you how not to do that, right? I'm going to show you how you'll be able to take care of your wife, your children, and your loved ones, your mother, your father, your loved ones, without having to need the government, right? All right, now let's get moving.
Fortunately, it's going to be very painful, I think, for a lot of people.
And it's going to be painful for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be losing their jobs. A lot of people going to get laid off. A lot of people are going to be behind months and months and months on their rent. They're going to end up getting evicted, put out in the streets. And a lot of you guys don't know what they feel like. So a lot of you guys is not going to be able to survive like that. But I'm going to show you how to do it though. See, you subscribe to the right channel. Cause I'm gonna tell you the bad, but I'm also gonna give you some good right along with that. You feel me? So let's keep going.
That's the bad news. There is actually a silver lining here and good news, and that is the system that's broken needs to be reset. And so I think that these things will drive a reset, and I think a reset will lead to a return to sound money, and I think that will be a better system. So it's not all bad news.
All right. Well, firstly, when you say sound money.
Yes.
All right, now let's get to this clip, right? I'm showing you why they're panicking, right? So let's get to it. I need to pause here because I don't want to get copyrighted for the music, but let's pause and see what it says. Millionaire investors are at their least bullish level since the second quarter of 2020. Bullish means that you're investing heavily into the market. That's what bullish means. Bearish means you really not investing like that. You just, every blue moon you invest something. That's what bearish means. Bullish means you heavily invested in something in the market. But right now they say least bullish, so they're not really bullish right now. Do you know why? It's what we're talking about. So let's get to it. All right, now.
Recovery and ultimately dampening their bullishness. And they are less likely to think that inflation is transitory and more likely to think that we are in a bubble. And supply chain risks loom large for them, but as we typically see with the Millionaire set, they're still largely sticking to their knitting with an eye towards padding against inflation. So inflation is becoming an issue because we're starting to see the impact of supply chain constraints as well as some geopolitical issues with energy prices. And that's now flowing through into prices that consumers pay as well as certain companies' earnings.
That includes gas prices. Gas prices right now is at its highest. You know what I'm saying? Right now, if you look at gas prices from where I'm at, right now I'm in Indiana right now, so gas prices is like close to $4 out here. Almost $4, like 3.30, 3.40, something like that. So imagine what gas prices is like in New York or in California or in Texas, big cities like that. You see what I'm saying? So inflation is causing all prices, not just that, housing, food, agriculture. It doesn't matter, oil. All these prices are shooting sky high because of inflation. But it's gonna get worse though. Right now you just feeling a little bit. You just feeling the crust of it. But when you start getting to the middle, you're gonna feel it more heavier.
One key takeaway from the survey is that we've seen this is perhaps the least bullishness we've seen in some time, if not since the second quarter of 2020 with the onset of the pandemic. So we see investors at large concerned about the path going forward, but we see millionaires still finding opportunities and adjusting accordingly.
Okay, and it also says, why do millionaire investors think we are in a recession while the GDP is growing? Right? Alright, so now let's see why they think that.
There was a significant downtick in those believing that we're in an expansion, and millionaires recognize
Technical difficulties. Sorry about that.
growth prospects may not be as robust going forward. And with more believing that we're in a bubble, millionaires could be taking a more cautious approach. Millionaires' expectations for the market have moderated from what we've seen in past quarters. And they're expecting more modest returns going forward, if not more volatility in general. They still see opportunities in the market, although not necessarily in the same places that have yielded such robust returns in recent years. So they're picking their spots accordingly to position themselves to best cope with the challenges that lie ahead, namely inflation.
Right. So they're saying that inflation is getting higher and higher, so now instead of being bullish in the market, now they're being bearish, subtle, bringing in moderate returns instead of the extreme flow of returns they used to having. All right, now it says, what can bearish, see, that word is again, remember I told you. What can bearish investors learn from these trends? Let's find out.
A few things investors need to do if they have a bearish sentiment, as we see taking place with the millionaire set. I mentioned earlier they need to temper their expectations for what type of returns they can expect going forward, and they need to prepare themselves for more volatility than what the markets have experienced in recent years. Now, we typically see millionaires stay the course, and that approach has certainly yielded results time and time again throughout history. It's all about picking your spots where you can find the best opportunities going forward that are well positioned to cope with a changing market environment and deal with the risks that we see on the horizon. whether it's inflation, continued supply constraints, or just a slower recovery from the pandemic. Investors are still finding opportunities going forward. And this is going to take the full, we see them finding opportunities in different sectors.
So now, we see they're trying to find other ways of making money. So, I'm going to tell you about the different sector that they're going in to make their money, because the fiat money is about to collapse. So, they're moving to somewhere else. I'm going to show you where they're moving to. I'm going to show you where they're making their money from. And you can do the same thing. Right? And it only takes a little bit. Does not take a lot. Alright, so now, let's get to the next one. Alright, so let's start from the beginning. Let me mute it because until they start talking, because I don't want to be demonetized by the music, so they demonetize you by the music. So now, but it says the consumer price index surged 6.2% from a year ago in October, its highest level in more than 30 years. So it's at its highest level in more than 30 years. I said 20, but they saying it's 30 years. This is CNBC, right? So let's go. The basket of products, including gas, healthcare, groceries, rents, increased 9.9% on a monthly basis. So every month it increased 9%. And it's still increasing every month by 9%. Not 9%, 0.9%. But it adds up. Add up 0.9% for 6 months and see where you end up at. See what percentage you end up, what whole percent you end up at. So every month it grows 0.9% every month. Alright. Three experts discusses what this means for the markets, right? Remember, we're talking about why the rich is panicking, right? And why you should be panicking as well. Because they're not telling you. They moving fast, but you guys are busy with other things and not really paying attention to what's really going on. So it's my job to bring you what's going on and what they're doing behind closed doors. So let's get it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's unmute that so we can understand what this guy is trying to say.
We got today.
Now this is Jeremy Siegel, the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania.
And I think, listen, stocks love inflation until the Fed gets serious about it, and they have not been serious about it. We will see. If we get they're going to get one more inflation report in December for November before their December 15th meeting. If it is anywhere like it is today, I think the pressure on Powell will be just enormous to come down much stronger than he has so far.
I think the Fed is going to have to get serious, but what does that mean? The thing that you have to look out for is when do they raise rates, and we're months away from it, probably at least 2 quarters. And history says after the Fed starts raising rates, you usually get 2 years of rally after that. So I'm really not that worried overall. Scott, I do want to put something out there. I'm very much all in. I am riding this horse to the finish line. The finish line is through this year end, but I think when you get to late January that you're going to find some volatility, much like you did in early 2018 after a great 2017, because what happens when you are up 25% as you are this year in the S&P 500, nobody wants to sell, and anybody who's been bearish in the portfolio management space has to chase this rally.
There's that word is again, bearish.
That will propel us into January, but then you can look for me to start to take money off.
Okay, so we already saw this one. So this is what I wanted to show you. So we heard him talk about rate hikes, right? So we need to understand what rate hikes are and understand why it's getting serious, right? So now, understanding the Fed funds rate. The federal fund rate is the rate bank charges each other for lending their excess reserves or cash, right? So this is the rate they charge to lend their cash, their money. Some banks have excess cash, while other banks might have short-term liquidity needs. The Fed's rate is a target rate set by the Federal Reserve Bank and is usually the basis for the rate that commercial banks lend to each other, right? Okay, so however, the Fed's rate has a far more sweeping impact on the economy as a whole. So their rate has a effect on the economy as a whole, not impartial, as a whole. The Fed fund rate is a key tenet of interest rate markets and is used to set the prime rate, which is the rate banks charge their clients for loans. So when you go on a loan, these rates, this is what they're talking about. These interest rates. Some be as high as 20%, some be as low as 0 interest rates, some be 7%, 3%, 4%, depends on the lender and their policies. Right? So let's get the rest. Okay, we'll stop right here. Okay. Also, mortgage, remember, any loan that you're getting from, it don't matter what it is, it could be car loan, it could be a mortgage loan, a business loan, it could be any types of loan, right? So mortgage and loan rates, as well as deposit rates for savings, and impacted by any changes in the Fed rates, right? So now we see the inflation. Okay, let's get this one, right? The Fed, through the FOMC, or Federal Open Market Committee, adjusts rates depending on the economy's needs. If the Federal Open Market Committee believes the economy is growing too quickly, it is likely that inflation or rising prices might occur, which is going on right now, right? And the Federal Open Market Committee will increase the Fed fund rate, right? So right now they increasing the Fed fund rate, which is the rate that you get from loans and all this other, type of things. They're increasing it 0.9% a month, right? Now, let's see what happens. Let me show you what happens. I'm gonna scroll down just a little bit. I'm gonna show you what happens when interest rate goes sky high, right? There was a crash back in the 80s. Well, there was an interest rate hike back in the 80s, highest it's ever been, 21%, something like that, right? So this is back in, look, down the bottom, where this is, down at the bottom, 1980 through 1980. Well, it was starting to end in 1985, right? It's starting to go down. But look how high. Look up to the left corner, top corner. Look how high it was. Now scroll over to the middle where you see the squiggly lines. Look how high the interest rates were. The interest rates was 20%. 20% in the 80s. 20%. Now let's see what happened in the 80s for the interest rates to be that high, right? Let's see what happened. Runaway inflation kills housing. The reason interest rates, which ultimately are set by the Federal Reserve, exploded in 1980 was housing's arch nemesis, runaway inflation. Inflation. This was what's happened in the 80s. This is why the interest rate was 20%. The Fed fund rate, remember we were talking about that, which is the rate banks charge each other for overnight loans, It hit 20% in 1980 and 21% in June 1981. The cause was an inflationary spiral brought by rising oil prices. What's going on right now? The prices of oil is rising. Why you think the gas prices is so high? Because the oil prices is steady rising. The rates for the oils is steady rising. Right? Government overspending. They spend taxpayer money on dumb things. If you really look at what the government spend money on, you understand, like, this is, what are you spending the money on? And then they giving you also these stimulus checks, also these tax credit checks. All this plays a part in inflation. All this plays a part in the destruction of the dollar. They know this. This was their plan in the beginning. They know this. They know this type of thing is going to cause for martial law. They know all of this. Right? Okay. And rising wages, right? So, all three factors pushed the general prices of goods and services higher, which is your food, you know what I'm saying? When you go to the grocery store, when you go to just the general store, when you go to, like, anywhere you go to buy any products and services is going to be higher than you normally would go. You know what I mean? Which is the definition of inflation. This is why they are panicking. Right? So now, I know we know this video a little longer, but if you want to know why, they're not investing in the market anymore and where they're moving to, keep watching. If not, then hey, I pray for the best for you when the collapse of the dollar happened. I pray you better take care of your family. I pray all of this. But me and my family, we're gonna be okay, right? So the reason they're not investing in the market anymore is because they know the dollar's gonna die. They know it's a wrap for the dollar. The dollar is dead. Put it that way. The fiat currency is gone. It's dead. It's over. Finito. So remember back in that clip when I showed you, when I said, okay, yeah, he said that they're moving into other means of making money. The other means of making money is crypto. All of the wealthy people is moving from investing in the stock market into investing into the crypto market. When the stock market collapses, guess what's going to remain? The crypto market. The crypto market. Investing in crypto will have you wealthy in the end. But not just investing in crypto, because you understand this. Because the crypto going to go into a bearish mode as well. Yes, inflation is going to catch up. It might not hit crypto as hard as it's going to hit the stock market. But inflation is going to hit crypto eventually. So if you really want to establish some kind of financial freedom, especially in a time where the fiat currency is going to implode and gonna fail, invest your money in crypto. It only takes a little bit, $10 a week, $20 a week, whatever you can afford to lose. That's just in case, because anything you put your money in, there's still a percent that you will lose your money. But investing in the right one can yield you a lot of dividends. Believe it. Me and my family investing in crypto right now. We've made money, and we're going to continue to make more money. Right? And so after you do that, what you need to do is invest in assets, not liabilities, but assets. Invest in assets, like buying some land, invest in a business, own your cars, buy real estate property. These are all assets. And also invest in gold, because gold price is going to shoot up. So when a dollar collapses, guess what? Your money is in gold. Guess what? You own gold. Gold prices is not going to collapse. That's something that's going to be stable. That's something you will have. So when everybody else is, blindsided by inflation, by the collapse of the dollar, guess what? You and your family is okay. You have actual money, because that's what gold is. Gold is the actual money. Now, with that being said, this your boy, Unapologetic Truth. On the channel, we speak the truth and don't apologize for it. Why? Because the truth never apologizes. I'm out.